The Emperor was a being of pure light and goodness. He loved all of his children equally and would never banish one of his sons to an eternity of suffering in the warp. Right, that's certainly one way to look at it. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, home of the largest and greatest Warhammer community in the Omniverse. Today we're answering the Eternal. Where are they? The two lost Primarchs. Those sons of the Emperor whose records were purged from Holy Terra, and whose statues stand shattered in the alcoves. Of the Imperial Palace, there are three things we know for sure about the two lost Primarchs. No one in the Imperium is supposed to speak their names. Their statues were shattered and their records were erased. And finally, their histories are buried so deep that even the most loyal scholars fear asking questions about them. What else do we know? Well, strap in because we're about to dive into the deepest lore holes and most speculative theories that the Warhammer community has managed to dig up. First, Hug, a word from our sponsor. To understand what might have happened to the missing Primarchs, we need to go back to the time of the Primarch project. The Emperor created 20 gene sons, each infused with purpose, power, and destiny. But before they could be united with their legions, something went horribly wrong. The ruinous powers scattered the infant Primarchs across the galaxy. Most landed on distant worlds and were raised by mortals until the Great Crusade found them. But two of them, those now missing from history, may have suffered fates too dark or disruptive to allow their existence to continue. Some stories claim they were never recovered at all, that the Emperor searched but found nothing. Perhaps they were killed as infants, destroyed during warp scattering, or corrupted beyond recognition. If that is the case, their legions designated 2 and 11 would have been left leaderless or disbanded before ever seeing full service. But if that were the truth, why erase every mention of them rather than simply mark them lost? We know from the original 40K timeline that it was not unheard of for Primarchs to go missing. Magnus, the Red, was reported missing for 1,000 years before he was found. The Emperor never gave up hope of finding his sons and constantly scoured the stars for signs of their return. However, it seems unlikely that this is the whole story. After all, if the Emperor didn't recover his two lost sons, how would he have known to erect statues of them in the first place? Moreover, the Emperor was willing to wait millennia for the return of his sons, as proved by the discovery of Leon L. Johnson, who was missing for 10,000 years, and yet no one knows exactly where, when, or how the lions disappeared. Yet, the Emperor gathered every available resource to find him. So why did he bother covering up the loss of the other two? Was it simply that these Primarchs were less important than others? It seems a strange thing to cover up if that were the case. Another, far more chilling theory says the Emperor did find them and something about them was unacceptable. Some accounts from the Unification era suggest the missing Primarchs were discovered early, before even Horus was brought into the fold. They were powerful, but unstable. Maybe they turned against their father. Maybe they pursued forbidden knowledge or made pacts long before the Heresy shattered the Imperium. Their failure could have been so catastrophic that the Emperor chose silence over scandal. Some have suggested their punishment was not just removal but execution or psychic erasure, carried out by the Emperor himself. The idea that the two missing Primarchs were executed goes back to the earliest days of the Heresy itself. In fact, there is a mysterious reference in the lore. The Emperor spoke of a mistake made long ago when scolding Lorgar after the events on Monarchia. Was he talking about the fall of the two lost Primarchs? Why would he have failed to retrieve the others but brought Lorgar to heal? This may seem like a stretch, but it's supported by a number of clues throughout the lore. For example, it's well established that Lorgar believed the Emperor to be a god. When he learned otherwise, he was horrified. Did he see visions of what the Emperor was capable of? Did he witness forbidden knowledge? Or maybe he actually tried to kill his father. Whatever the case, the Emperor swiftly dealt with the heretical Primarch. Remember, Lorgar was nearly unstoppable, having single-handedly defeated the entire Wordbearer's legion. But the Emperor effortlessly subdued him, breaking his will and stripping him of his powers. There are also the rumors of the surviving Primarchs interacting with them. In the novel The First Heretic, Lorgar speaks cryptically about the two forgotten brothers and implies that their fate was deserved. Rogal Dorn mentions that Russ, Lemon Russ of the Space Wolves, was the one sent to deal with at least one of them. The wolves were often considered the Emperor's executioners. If a Primarch turned traitor before Horus, Russ may have been dispatched to destroy him, his sons, and every trace of his existence. Imagine a legion wiped out before the galaxy even knew its name. Its gene seed destroyed, its ships seized or burned. The Space Wolves, or Custodes, could have enacted the purge with surgical precision. Every record, every battle honor, every heraldry's symbol erased. That would explain why only empty alcoves remain where their statues once stood. But then again, what if the missing Primarchs didn't turn against the Emperor? Instead, what if they were compliant, but in the wrong direction? What if one or both of them refused the Imperial truth, or sided with aliens, or pursued technology or psyker powers forbidden by the Emperor? Such ideological deviance might have been considered even more dangerous than open rebellion. Some fringe theories even claim one of them made contact with the Necrons or the Eldar, or uncovered the Men of Iron. A Primarch with access to lost xenos knowledge could pose an existential threat. Maybe the Emperor judged them for this alone, without even needing to resort to killing them. Maybe the Emperor purged them, not out of necessity, but out of mercy. Perhaps he took them aside and sent them away, granting them a swift release from a doomed existence. He showed no mercy on chaos, nor on those who defied him. But when facing his own sons, the Emperor's heart was always capable of compassion. This would explain why their disappearance is so thoroughly covered up, why the records of their existence were removed. The Emperor did not want his subjects to know he had to punish his sons so severely, but it would also explain why no one knows their ultimate fate. As far as anyone can tell, they could be anywhere. The Emperor may have banished them to a dead system, left them to die on a forgotten rock, or cast them into the warp. If the Emperor chose to spare them, he would want to ensure they were beyond any hope of return. The warp is the most likely candidate for the Emperor's mercy. If a Primarch was tainted, warp-touched, mutated, or psychically compromised, maybe he believed they were a danger to the Webway project or humanity's genetic future. The Emperor was ruthless when necessary. He didn't hesitate to use force when the stakes were cosmic. We have seen the Emperor move swiftly to contain threats that could corrupt his vision of the future. After all, it was the Emperor who decreed that psychers born under the Eye of Terror should be taken from their families and raised in the hallowed halls of the Black Ships. In fact, we know from the lore that the Emperor has shown no mercy on those who have been tainted by chaos, even if they show no signs of willingly serving the ruinous powers. What's more, the Emperor wasn't above banishing potential threats. Consider the Oracle of Tikkun. She was a human medium who accurately predicted the coming of the Emperor, but her gifts also opened her to chaos. Although she was a devout servant of the human race, the Emperor decided it was safer to send her into permanent exile than risk her falling to chaos. Perhaps the same fate befell one or both of the missing Primarchs. Of course, the Imperium ensures the mystery survives. Records are sealed, remembrancers were silenced. The Ecclesiarchy avoids the subject. Even the Inquisition treads carefully near this forbidden topic, but their absence creates its own echo. Their numbers are missing from every list. Their honors are gone, but their shadows remain. Could they still exist? Unlikely. But some believe one Primarch may have been imprisoned rather than killed, perhaps deep beneath Terra, perhaps in the labyrinth on Luna, or lost in stasis. Unreachable, if the Emperor saw even a glimmer of redemption, he might have spared one, if only to study or contain him. Others speculate they were banished, not slain, cast into the warp, abandoned in a dead system, or exiled to a forgotten planet. If even a fraction of that is true, the galaxy may one day rediscover one of its missing sons. And if that happens, in the 42nd millennium, it could reshape everything from the Imperium's command structure to the balance against chaos. The truth may lie with Malcador the Sigillite, the Custodes, or the surviving but silence is the wall that protects the Imperium from doubt. What happened to the lost Primarchs is not just forgotten. It was made forbidden, and the fact that the Emperor chose erasure over memory suggests that their fate was worse than death, or too dangerous to ever remember. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is always hope for the lost Primarchs. So while the galaxy may never know the truth of their fate, Their sacrifice will live on in the hearts and minds of their genes, forever vigilant against the forces of chaos and the enemies of the Emperor. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. See you next time.